Hello, good evening and welcome to UPfront. Today, we're putting a spotlight on one ministry set up in fulfillment of a campaign promise to create some more regions. This is the Regional Reorganization and Development Ministry. After this break, I'll tell you who my guest from this ministry is and what the crux of our conversation is. You're welcome back to UPfront. My name is Raymond Akwa. Deputy Minister of Regional Reorganization and Development is Martin Mensah-Kosa. A very popular name, especially if you're part of the 2016 elections. You would know that he was Director of Elections of the NPP. He virtually surveyed the entire country and added information as to what and who was supposed to be winning. Well, his party won, and he's a Deputy Minister now. You're welcome, Honorable.
Thank you.
I hope you are doing very well.
Very well.
So transitioning from Director of Elections to a Deputy Minister of State, how was it like?
Well, a new experience, sort of, but not too different. I mean, these are activities that requires some operational, if you like, running around, as you said. And so it's not too different, but of course different. So we are trying to settle in and see how we can manage the difference.
You have not settled in yet?
Oh, well, we have, but you are still in your job, and it's not as though what you are coming from. I mean, you are coming from an entirely new environment compared to what you have worked in now. So yes, settled, but still more to learn.
Have you given up your post as Director of Elections?
I'm supposed to have done that per the National Council.
The directive, yes.
Directive.
Yeah.
So I think effectively, all of us.
You ceased to operate as Director of Elections.
Director of Elections, precisely.
Who replaced you in the party?
That is yet to be done. It takes a bit of time, consultations, and so I'm sure the party will soon come up with somebody to occupy the office.
Interesting. It's good being a minister, isn't it?
Well, it's a challenge. You've got to work, you've got to serve. You have people are in a hurry to see the real effect of the change, and you have no excuse not to deliver. And so it's a challenge, but I know we can surmount it.
So how do you respond to those who say we are yet to see the fruits 6 months down the line?
Well, there's a lot of signs that show that indeed the journey or the end is a bright one. So far, I believe the first budget has been read to us a couple of months back. A lot of indications show a pro-poor budget and policies, if you like, you can line up. And so I believe a lot of signs have begun showing. There's been some turnaround of other situations. If you go into the public sector, a lot of backlog, unpaid money, a lot of change. We talk to people, and right away, they are fortunate to have seen some solution. Others are also very expectant, but have every cause to believe that their time will come. I think we are doing well so far as a government, 6 months, and we'll do more.
It's interesting. We'll talk more about what's been done specifically by this particular ministry. And one of the issues that we also actually focus on is how that particular change is supposed to bring real development to people in this country. But did you sweep your office? As in security sweep?
I did so. I did so. I occupied this office.
Was it a general rule that everybody should do that?
Not necessarily, but I thought it should be done.
Because you came from active partisan politics background, so you understand the realities of the Ghanaian politics.
Well, I think it's a matter of being security conscious.
Okay.
There is a need for it. Otherwise,
was there any camera suspicious device here?
Not at all. But it's something that you need to do periodically.
Okay.
It should be an ongoing process.
Will you be shocked to have seen one in your office?
Maybe my mind was open. That is why I opted to do it in the first place.
Oh, okay. That's interesting to know. Yes. Anyway, but I just want to know, how did you feel when your colleague found one in his office? I mean, talking about the Lands and Natural Resources Minister.
Well, for me,
do you recheck your card, see whether...
It's an alert and tells you that leave nothing to chance.
Okay.
See, only God knows for how long that equipment has been in the office. And whatever...
At least we know that it's been there since 2013.
And that can tell you a lot of issues that possibly must have come up. For me, even back in my old office, it's something that I do, a routine thing that I do. At least every 2 months, I try to make the effort, while also making sure that people who are not authorized to enter your office, especially in your absence, don't try as much as possible to limit and minimize those things. It's something you don't have to take for granted. And I think what is happening just yesterday or the couple of days back, it's even a more bigger reason why everybody has got to be alert. I don't think it's not just about public officials, but generally, it's a general alert for us to be more conscious of security and because of its implications.
Do you think we can find some in any other place?
You should. I mean, once you found that here, there should be a higher possibility that there could be others in some other places. Otherwise, it will be strange. But this is enough indication that there must be some in other offices.
Anyway, well, the ministry was set up for a particular reason, and the name of the ministry even captures it: reorganization of the regions and ensuring development. How is this supposed to be done?
Well, first of all, I think if you look at our history, the reorganization of administrative regions has been a dynamic and continuous one. I believe from 1902, we had about 3 regions, which is the Ashanti Protectorate, you have the Gold Coast Colony, and then the Northern Territory. The last time we created regions, I believe, was 1983. And you can imagine, from 3, we now moved to 10, when the upper regions were split. But all of this, in our current circumstance, is situated within a constitutional framework. If you look at our Constitution, Chapter 2, Article 5, it's wholly dedicated to the process of creating regions. And with our ministry, I think we are more guided by that process. If you look at Article 5.2 of the Constitution, the President is enjoined to obtain the advice of Council of State when you are petitioned or you are inundated with petitions for the creation of a region. And that, for me, so far, is exactly what we've set out to do. This ministry has gone around the country soliciting views from especially the traditional authorities. And so that process is seen as go through the 4 main regions where we intend to split. Meet with the Regional House of Chiefs, open discussion, frank discussion, where we first of all, even though it's a campaign or manifesto pledge, announced to Nananom whom the demands for new regions came from anyway, to tell them government's intentions of the petitions that we have received from Nananom, their indigents and other residents in those regions. And that began the first phase of our work. The subsequent phase...
You completed that?
We've completed that.
You've been to all the...
That was in the month of May.
Okay.
We've been to all the 4 regions nationwide. Bronga have 4, Volta, Western and Northern regions, where in a big major event, all the House of Chiefs met with us as a ministry. You had my able minister, supported by myself and other staff of the ministry, where we touched on varied issues of our work. And the second phase is where the President takes the step to obtain the advice of Council of State. That process has also been initiated. As I speak to you, the various petitions which have gone through virtually all governments in this 4th Republic, the demands for splitting regions, some spanning over 30 years, if not all of them, have been put together and lodged with the Council of State by His Excellency the President.
Okay, now let me get this clarified. Were these petitions given the NPP in opposition?
Oh yes, I mean, the President had been mandated with these demands from chiefs, indigenes, and other residents of these regions, virtually on all the various tours that he's gone. beginning from 2007.
Okay, but you did say that they are over 30 years.
Oh, yes.
That means that you are combining what might have been sent for other presidents.
Absolutely. I mean, the point is that successive governments under the Fourth Republic all made some step trying to meet these demands of creating the regions. But those have not materialized. And so it's been an ongoing process. Almost every government that has come under this Fourth Republic is being met with this demand of the splitting of the regions. And so it's not new. And I'm saying that the period of demand spans over 30 years for virtually all of them. And it's our time to make it happen.
Okay, and so that's why you did the rounds with the regional house.
First of all, yes, it was important to inform Nananum of government's intention to take on the demands or the petitions that had been served on the president.
Okay.
But they being the custodians of the land, it was important to go to them, inform them of what we intended to do, following which the processes can be triggered. And so that's basically what we went to do.
Okay, so for example, for the creation of the OT region, I mean, how many petitions did you receive?
Well, the proposed, when you say OT, don't forget nobody has created the region yet.
Yes,
and
that's
so
what I'm saying, for the
that's
creation of that particular region.
But if
of course, these petitions will come from the voter region in the first
If
place.
I recall, the petitions that I've cited, you have one that came to His Excellency President Jerry John Rawlings in his time. Then there is another one that came to His Excellency President John Ajay Kufuor in 2003.
Okay.
Then the successive governments that came in there, and then finally on His Excellency President Akufo-Addo.
Okay, so I just wanted the number in all for the
they've
voter
constituted
region.
themselves into an association that is championing the cause.
Okay,
so it's been
it's the same petition,
petitions
which
that
is being repeated.
Absolutely.
But it has people signing on as signatures to this particular one.
You have virtually all the traditional paramountcies putting their signatures to it.
Okay.
And so with Bronga Hafo.
Oh, so does it come from ordinary people, or it came from the, what do you call it, chiefs?
Some ordinary, some chiefs, organized groups. In Bronga Hafo, you have what we call the Hafo Youth Movement, at some point Hafo Association. I mean, various groups who have put themselves together to champion. And so in one particular region, you can have those from the chiefs and other interest groups, but all championing for the same cause.
And are they looking at the same districting and demarcation?
The same call for a new region. Virtually the same demand. If you go to the Western region, what they've called it is the northern part of Western region.
Yes.
Volta region is the northern part of the Volta region. If you go to Bronga Hafo, it's been always the Hafo zone. And of course, the northern region, where there's even been argument for different...
That's where my question really rests.
Some have called it the Eastern Corridor, whatever it is. We do not know as a ministry.
Okay.
And there's supposed to be...
Based on what demarcation are you speaking to these chiefs?
Well, these are petitions that have come to you. The Constitution says that when the petitions come to the President, he sends them first of all to the Council of State. Council of State looks at it, brings their advice. Then the President, on the basis of that, constitutes a commission of inquiry who goes into these petitions. We are not there yet.
Okay.
For now, what we're going to happen is that when the Council of State brings their decision, then the President can, on that merit, proceed to set up the commission of inquiry, who will now take time to go around the entire country, meet up, and open up the issues making the petition. They are supposed to advise or decide whether a region be created as new, whether some boundaries of one or two regions be realigned to create one, or whatever the decision is. They are supposed to bring that up.
But if I gave a petition and have an idea of the kind of section I want carved out of a particular region, why would the boundaries be looked at and altered later on by somebody else?
Well, your demand cannot be finality. Your demand is subject to a review by a competent body. So set up by
And
the
do the
law.
people who really want to actually ask for these changes know that they are not necessarily getting what they are asking for?
They are aware. In fact, the various tours that we did offered us the opportunity to explain
To chiefs.
some of these things. We also learnt a lot of issues from these people.
Okay.
Luckily for us, all of this is enshrined in the Constitution.
Yeah.
So there is a certain framework that is guiding you and making sure that everything you do is lettered, is down, laid down. And so when the process is unfolding, and then the body that is mandated to go around, listen to these people, open up the issues, ask questions, evaluate the answers that they get, and then arrive at a decision. It is when they have done their work, then you can go by what they have brought, which of course will have to go back to the Council of State for further advice, before to the Electoral Commission for the processes leading to the referendum starts. Okay. In fact, it's also the work of the committee, the Commission of Inquiry, to determine what issues to be voted on, where the election is to be held, and which people are supposed to vote in that election. So all of it is quite laid out.
Okay.
But it takes time, and you need to observe each one of them so that you do justice to the matters.
But I get the impression that the ministry has a blueprint or has a plan, has specifically the specific areas you want carved out, as has been stated before, the OT region as stated in
we don't have that. All we have
it's in the NPP's manifesto.
Well, the NPP is proposed to create in the
Yes.
manifesto
Based on a particular area,
the northern
so we will
region.
carve out the OT region.
There's the northern part
Yes,
of Western region.
which will be the eastern corridor.
No, the NPP constitution states that they will create Western North,
Yeah,
which is the
Western
Western
North.
region. And this is out of the demands and petitions that has come over
Yeah.
the period. But like you would have the NDC state in their manifesto,
They'll create
that they
5
pitch,
regions. Yeah.
creating 5 regions. Virtually the same process. You receive petitions from people, and then you make a commitment to go into their need, their demand. So it's just the same way.
So have you received petitions for, let's say, the redemarcation of the period, or the what they call it, boundaries in the Ashanti, for instance?
We haven't received petitions from Ashanti region, no.
Okay.
We haven't.
So, I mean, when the NPP was in opposition, you knew that these were the areas that people are sending petitions. And that's why you also said, these are the areas you're going to create regions for.
No, you need to be guided. The NPP constitution, the NPP manifesto, listed only one of the various, regions.
But it's not in doubt that Nana Danko Akufo-Addo has stated that
Publicly, yes, he had committed
yes.
doing the public engagement.
Yeah.
But I'm saying all of that was born out of the demands.
Okay.
I'm sure if anybody in the Ashanti region had placed the demand of the president that we want this region split,
There was none at all
there's been none.
since
There's
the
been none.
last 30 years
No,
that
I'm not
you
sure.
actually make
I'm not sure you've heard
reference
that.
to.
No, I'm not sure you yourself has heard that.
Because, for example,
If anybody raised it in the
Yeah.
eastern region,
yeah,
you would have known. I mean, in the
not-
public discourse.
You don't think that has happened
No,
before?
that has not to my, that is to my
For
knowledge.
example, I mean, Professor Raymond Benin, led a team at the Ghana Statistical Service in 2010 to really look at the boundary disputes that actually came up after the 2010 population and housing census. He makes reference to petitions in virtually all regions and the fact that they are very controversial issues because whilst there's the clamor for certain changes within regions, other people oppose it with the same sentiments that people do call for same.
I'll tell you that the decision to create regions, if you look at the process and over the period, is always born out of a number of issues. For us as NPP, and for that matter, government, I think the most paramount of them is development-led and closeness of governance to the people. That, for me, is the basic.
You are rejecting the age-old difficulties in what they call it, places. For example, the ethnic engagements, undertones. You are rejecting that?
I don't think that that, for me, per my understanding, okay, is the motive for what we are doing.
But
you're doing,
my difficulty
will
also
feel
is
the
that,
real need. For
yes.
instance, if you take the Western region, you have a region that is oil and gas rich in the south. There is industry. There is
The
shipping
chunk of the cocoa is
activities
produced from this particular area.
in the south.
Indeed, it has the
In the
largest,
north,
what they call it,
you
coast.
have the agro forest potential,
Yeah.
where it remains untapped. So you want to give it a focused attention,
Okay.
harness the potential for development, as it would have been in the south.
Okay.
Same way you go to the other regions, you want to make sure that kill the issue of distance. I'll tell you, in one administrative region in this country, it may take you or you require virtually 6 hours journey to access the regional capital, to have a document signed for you,
From the region.
to access healthcare, to access other services. 6 hours, some
Yeah.
virtually the whole day. It's so large, it's unwieldy.
They are very bad roads.
Absolutely. So your focus is try and eliminate that challenge.
Your focus is not to make the roads better.
But that's the step forward in creating the region
Yeah.
and making sure that they get the focused and needed developmental attention.
Okay.
Because one region has a square, I mean, it's about 70,383 square kilometers of land size,
Okay.
compared to another which is about 4,000. Yet each of these has one regional coordinating council, which are expected to do virtually the same amount of work. How can one region be that so large?
Okay.
Over 70,000 square kilometers. Another is 3,000 or nearly 4,000. You want to kill that
The disparities in the even land size that actually
so you
is
can
created by
channel
this.
governance closer to them, make sure that they also have a sense of what real development is.
Forgive me, I want to
to-
interrogate this issue further, but I'm told I have to take a break. When I return from this break, the Honorable Deputy Minister in the Regional Reorganization and Development Ministry is my guest on our front. You're welcome back. We're putting a spotlight on the Ministry for Regional Reorganization and Development. Deputy Minister Martin Ejime-Sakosa is my guest on our front today. And the Honorable has given me a brighter appreciation, and perhaps your very good selves too, a better appreciation of the rationale for the creation of the region and what is being done to ensure that this rationale is actually implemented the way it ought to be implemented. That's where we left off. And you were explaining to me how, for instance, in the Western region, some are so cut off that it's very difficult to reach the regional capital. So, for example, if you need a passport, you have to travel some 6 hours to the regional capital before you can access these.
Yes, and I was also making the point about the economic potential of the region. So I give a picture of the situation of the South, which is rich in industry, shipping, there is oil and gas and so on. But the North also abounds in a lot of potential, agro-based. They have good forest. And so you want to give that section of the region also a focused developmental attention so that the full potential of the Northwest can be unearthed and get the lives of the people to be
I
better.
get your point. But can this be done without necessarily creating a region?
Well, you can champion one side of the argument, but you are talking about land size. When it becomes so vast, so large, so unwieldy, accessing becomes a problem. I give you a scenario of one region, northern region, which is about 70,000 square kilometers. Western region is about 23,000. Bronx half is about 39,557. Compare that to Greater Accra, which is about a little under 4,000 square kilometers. Yet all of these are supposed to have the same developmental paradigm. One regional coordinating council supposed to coordinate development and its processes or activities for the region. It becomes virtually a huge amount of work.
But
And it also comes with implications for poverty.
okay, so it's understandable that even within regions, there are areas that there is extreme poverty in both terms of death and incidence in this particular case. There are also areas that's better off. Is it not perhaps because you've not targeted the extreme poor and sought to alleviate their poverty or improve their condition? can that be hidden under the need to create a region for that?
It's relevant. Given the whole argument is about the closeness of governance to the people. If you were to create
these places that you want to create
yes,
a new
yes,
region for do have districts, right?
They do have districts.
They are district chief
Yes,
executives.
but I'm saying that if you were to create a region in an area, why? Over the period, we've always created districts. Haven't you created districts?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the solution to our issues.
Is that the indication to you that merely creating a region will also not be the solution?
Yes, but I agree with you. Merely creating a region will not necessarily transform those areas. You consciously will have to make sure that you channel or dedicate resources. Once you create a region, automatically you trigger the functions of government, which otherwise would bring about the economic transformation, economic viability. If you were to create a new region, for instance, look at the northern region, with the vastness of land that I've just indicated. If you were to create a region out of it, and the size of northern region can take about half of the regions in Ghana.
I get your point.
Okay,
but
so once you
use the
create
same
it,
example of the northern region.
Once you create it, immediately you are transferring the official functions of government to these areas, where there is police, regional police, you have regional hospital. I mean, all the processes that enhances the quality of life. And so it's a deliberate, focused effort to try and send development to them. You cannot say that regional capital with its governance structure remains in one stretch, and then I have to travel virtually the whole day to commute just to transact or access government services. It's not the best.
Okay, so, I mean, you came back to that particular point. There is this thinking, and that thinking is basically from, there's this, what do you call it? He's actually a geographer, and basically an economic geographer at the University of Ghana, Watanabe. He posits the idea that, indeed, the Fufusu Solar Road was perhaps the biggest development and separation bridging developmental project that got so many people who were for the separation or the division of the northern region into two different, what they call, regions stopped. Is that not an indication that if there are similar full solar roads across the country, widespread through poor areas, people can then have good roads in their areas, they can get good drinking water, and can access the basic services within their district? Why would you need a region for that?
Well, but there's also another school of thought. One authority in this whole business of regional creation is Professor Kofi Kumado, okay? A leading figure in our country.
Yeah.
And he's once advanced that if you want to talk of this deepening decentralization, sending development and governance to the desktops of the people, then this country should have 20 administrative regions.
Professor Kumado said it somewhere in the 90s.
Well, but it's still instructive.
Today?
Others feel that you cannot have the current arrangement where one region is virtually too large to manage. And the argument is that if you want to deepen decentralization, give real access to governance, give real power to the people, then you get to send it closer to them. So that's also another argument that perhaps may be
interesting argument. I get your point, but let me get this. For example, when there's a creation of the Western North, what they call it, region, what should the people there expect?
Development, closeness of governance to them.
In what specific forms?
Immediately, there is what we call regional coordinating councils. And they are supposed to spearhead developmental coordination in the regions.
You know that of the Greater Accra region?
I do.
Who chairs that?
Once is the regional minister LCC.
Okay, wonderful.
Once you create, once you create a new region, virtually the same land size.
Okay.
But you're going to get twice all those structures with regards to the other functions of government that comes. Like I just indicated to you, you have a regional capital based on one stretch of a region, and people live on the other stretch.
Okay. So
immediately,
specifically, you get a regional coordinating council.
Yeah.
What else would a new region like the Western North region get?
you get new amenities. There is a regional hospital, you have schools, you have better roads, all the functions of government, the amenities that you need. Take Accra, typically what you see, that makes you feel Accra is developed. That's the concept. That's
But the
what we're
Volta
trying to
region
say
doesn't
today.
have everything that the Accra has today.
But I'm saying that. That is why you cannot compare.
Even currently,
but you
it
won't
doesn't have it.
No, but you won't
Whole
compare.
is not the same as Accra
But
today.
I'm saying, but you won't compare northern Volta to southern Volta in terms of amenities.
There's a disparity.
There is,
And there's
and you want to kill that disparity.
a historical definition for that particular disparity.
Yeah, but that's why you want to kill it now. You want to cure it.
The only reason why that disparity is there is because there's a regional ensemble.
It's the best approach because, like I said, it transfers all the official functions and the indicators of development. I mean, you want to make sure that people have access to schools. Okay, something you don't have. Travel up the northern region and see the conditions that some of our own kinsmen, countrymen, live under. We are fortunate to be running around the Achimotes and the Aquinas and so in Accra.
I get your point, but
I'm coming. Let me just make this point. I've lived virtually all my life in Laboni. Just behind me there is Laboni Secondary School. There's St. Aquinas. There's Achimota. We have choices, but it's non-existent in other parts of this country, and that inequality, that situation, is giving rise to tensions, mistrust. People feel that they've been cut off. They are not part of the national cake. And there are implications of this in our national development agenda.
I get you, but let me...
And national cohesion and unity as a country.
Let me get this.
So you need to be mindful of the situations under which people live in some parts of the country. Sometimes we tend to forget because we live perhaps in the best and better conditions. And so
I want to understand this.
Yes.
These areas you're talking about have districts. Districts that are budgeted for every single year. Districts whose requests, because they do a composite budget, is also submitted to the central government.
Yes.
Are you not skipping the most important part? Having to take a single district, which is a smaller unit than a region, to deal with all of its important issues, rather than creating another administrative unit ahead of it?
Because of land size, they'll be better served, with breaking them up and giving them focused attention. So
why are these focused attentions not going to the districts?
Why do you think that creating a region cannot better serve that option than having districts?
Why said that you are bringing the governance closer to the people?
I'm saying that
the district is closer to the people. There's a district chief executive.
Then we should not have...
There's actually...
Then there wouldn't have been...
The regional minister, in all fairness, doesn't even have any legislative body to make laws.
Then there wouldn't... Following from your argument...
Yes.
There wouldn't have been... It wouldn't have been necessary, or there would have been no need to have regional coordinating bodies. Regional administrations.
Oh, that argument has been made. I want to actually say
I'm asking.
I'm saying that it has been made.
To follow from what you are saying.
I'm saying that argument has been made.
Yeah, but
that argument is coming from the back of the fact that...
But that's somebody's view.
Let me get this point.
Argument, yes.
How much is the budget for the office of the regional minister?
I'm not a regional minister. So I cannot tell you that.
I get your point.
Yes.
I just want to know, how much is our budget as a state, Republic of Ghana, for the Greater Accra region?
I mean, budgetary allocation for
the region.
Well, I would need to check on that, but I'm saying that it's a whole general development paradigm.
When resources, I see, for example, when I see the budget appropriations for 2017, I see specific districts and what is being allocated for specific projects. Does the office or the regional minister draw up a similar composite budget? Who gets to review that? What is the legislative structure at that regional level to do this particular job?
Well, you can argue with the budgetary allocation and then the implications for what the districts are supposed to do. But I'm saying that that's one stretch of the argument. The other stretch of it is there is a real deficit that you want to cure. And just as you just said, you think that it's supposed to be enhancing, if you like, the capacity of districts to deliver. That's what I infer from your argument.
Yes.
But that is not enough. Per my thinking, I think that if you want to really, I keep using the word, focused, dedicated attention to what the real challenges of development are, then you need to give virtually the same attention that Greater Accra Ashanti, wherever it's getting, to these other areas that feel virtually cut off. And it's very important. You cannot say that there's been districts, and so that's not, it can be a tool, some have argued. But I tell you, then there wouldn't have been no need to even split the administrative regions of Ghana.
I get your point. The poorest region in Ghana is the Upper West region.
Right.
But the poorest district in Ghana is not in the Upper West region.
I agree with you. That's why I made the point to you earlier, that creating a region in itself does not necessarily reduce or eradicate poverty.
How much would it cost to create a single region?
It comes,
yeah, forgive me, yes.
It comes with a focused and dedicated attention to channel resources to do that. The last time we created the Upper West region was 1983. But if you go there, you still have very worrying incidents of poverty. It means we haven't
the poorest so far, actually.
Yes, we haven't hit the target yet. But I'm saying that it's better now than before. So and the potential for making it better is still there.
What have we learned from the creation of the Upper West region? That when we create, let's say, the OT region or any of the other regions we are about creating now, they will not have the same fate as the Upper West region.
Well, I think that what is important is the indicators that we wish to put in. For instance, I just got into a discussion with somebody yesterday that the person said, look, taking the varied problems that we have in our national lives, shouldn't we prioritize our solutions? So you pick one segment of the economy. What is the challenge here that we need to solve? Let's dedicate national attention and focus for the next 5 years. You move and then you go there. There are various theories and issues to look at in the discourse. But I think that creating a new region, for me, right away, let's be more focused in sending the needed resources.
I get your point. I just want to know, for example, I mean, as I asked the question, what have we learned from the creation of the Upper West region? That in the creation of these new regions, we would avoid it. Because the ultimate aim is development.
Development. Yeah. Yes. Channeling the needed resources. That's for me what's paramount.
So is there a commitment to channel the needed resources?
There is. That's what I'm saying.
So
that
this year, have we made provisions that, for example, if you're able to create the regions this year, we will give them this percentage of the money?
I believe when the regions are created, there's a time frame. This whole process takes us to something I believe the next latter part of next year. But the indications that we've had. Okay, so
2018 we are going to get these regions coming.
We should have been able to get this through.
By the end of 2018?
Hopefully, that is what His Excellency the President has put out and is guiding our work as a ministry.
But he said in November 2016 that it will be done in 6 months.
But I'm saying that this is what he has put out lately, that we are working with.
So it's been revised?
I don't remember the President quoting what you're saying. But what I do know, which was lastly announced, I believe when they, in Goso, on the national program where...
Yes, but he said 2018.
He said latter part of the end of 2018, we should see the back of these works that we are trying to do. I believe when you have created a region, then the next stage is where you now work out how you transform this process through your development paradigms and so on.
Okay, so by the end of 2018, we are getting these regions coming
That's the indication and what we are guided by as a ministry.
Okay, now let me also get this part clarified because there's a lot of talk about what will be the structure. We'll have new regions, all right. We don't know how they are going to be like because it goes through a lot of processes. You say that you are finished with the consultation part with the chiefs, and the next process is having to engage the Council of State.
No, I didn't say we have finished. I said that the first phase of our work as a ministry was to get to these chiefs, first of all, inform them of government's intention to carry through with the demands that have emanated from the chiefs, their indigents, and other residents. But there is a commission of inquiry following the legal processes, which are outlined by the Constitution. Then they will now go down to do a deeper work. You began by asking me where boundaries and so on were going to lie. And I said that as a ministry, we do not have any ideas yet on what a region is going to look like or where boundaries are going to flow. But when they have gone around, spent some amount of time engaging with the people, various stakeholders, then they can come up with those fine details for us. And so there's still going to be consultations, I believe.
Is it in all regions or only the areas that are looking
only
at?
The areas where we are splitting up. And I believe there are 4 of them.
Yes, I know 4.
So
But it's not unfair to the people in the other regions. They're not given the opportunity to also engage on this matter.
But if people
Since
petition,
we are still on the
if they petition,
blank
why
note,
not?
why wouldn't you be interested in having...
These petitions are emanating from the people. So if they
I
so
see.
bring petitions, why not? But I'm yet to know any petitions that have come from, say, Upper West, Upper East. No.
Not from the Ashanti region, not from the Eastern region.
Not that I know. No.
Okay,
There hasn't been any.
that's interesting.
On the desk, on the table there, you have a brown envelope, and it's virtually all the petitions that we can trace
You have received
in history.
Oh, okay.
When I say in history, dating back about some 30 years.
Okay.
That we have put there.
All right. So this point you also made about, the process, and you made it clear that until the time there's a voting done, we'd also have to go through, after the Council of State gives us advice, what happens next?
I believe the Council of State advice will obtain in 2 folds. First of all, now, the President, His Excellency, is forwarded to them these petitions, okay, to obtain their advice. When this advice comes, then the President will be enjoined to constitute and set the Commission of Inquiry. When they've done their work, it gets back to the Council of State. And it is from this stage that the Electoral Commission comes in for the various processes leading to a referendum to happen.
How much did you devote in our budget for this exercise?
You want to talk about money?
Yes, specifically. Because all of this takes money anyway.
I think that, for instance, a commission of inquiry that is about to be set up, largely the budget is going to be determined by terms of reference, what they are supposed to do, and so
I'm just asking the
So it's
ministry,
a
how
bit-
much were you given for this project?
Our ministry we only have a quarterly budget, which I've looked at, but
No, but I see an allocation. When I look at the appropriations, I
see an
see
allocation.
specifically an allocation to the ministry in general. There's no quarterly stipulated there.
is it too big?
But I don't know your plans, so I cannot determine whether it's too
I'm
big.
telling you how internally
Yes.
we work around this.
Okay.
There is a quarterly disbursement that is made to the ministry.
Okay.
And so the ministry accepts it. It's basically, I believe,
Have you received your first quarter?
We have received the first quarter.
Okay.
And
How much was this amount?
I think we are in the process of receiving the second quarter or so.
How much was this amount?
I need to check with the figures.
You should know.
But you just saw it. You
Yeah,
just told
I
me
looked
you
at a
saw
bigger
it.
figure. I did not look at your quarterly figures. I looked at a bigger figure, which is what is put there on your plan.
Money matters. Money matters. I believe the finance people will help us.
Yes, because
But
my
something-
difficulty is that this is a priority area. The
It's,
president has
something around, I
stated
think, 250,000 or so.
250,000.
For-
That's for goods and services?
That's what I think. I need to check up, yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
But that's interesting. And this is enough for you to do all the things you have to do in the first quarter.
Well, we are trying to make the best out of what Ghana has.
We
And
have
so-
seen similar plans in times past,
Right.
which die off and not materializing because they are starved of funds. That's how important this is.
I wish Ghana had a lot of money, but I can promise you this process or this project culminating in our ministry, it's something very important to us as a country. And I believe, or I don't want to believe lack of resources should be the reason why this doesn't happen. I don't want to think so at all. So far, so good. We've had money to work as a ministry when it's needed most. And I believe it's going to carry through like all the other ministries. I'm yet to find any ministry who is not getting their allocations.
I see.
There are some few delays here
So
and there.
by the end of this year, what do you expect to happen?
I believe by the end of this year, we still should have the Commission of Inquiry virtually ending their work. We've done 6 months already, and they are just about to be set up following the Council of State processes and so on. If they are set up and they even require, this is just for argument's sake, I'm not saying for definite situations, they even require 4 or 5 months. That takes us to virtually the end of the year.
Okay.
And that is the most critical part of the whole exercise, because it's them who are going to tell us whether you're going to create a new region, whether you're going to realign different regions, and so on. It is them who are going to tell us if there has to be a referendum, what issues are to be decided on, where the election must take place, who must even vote in that election. And so their work is obviously very, very important. And I expect that the activity should be rounding up the year, after which we roll out to the next stage.
Now, my concern with that is you made a campaign promise. There's a commission that's going to tell you the feasibility of that campaign promise. If they say, no, you can't do this project, what happens to the campaign promise?
Not necessarily. Before the committee comes in, or the commission of inquiry, I believe the Council of State would have even done some work on it.
So the committee of inquiry is just advisory?
It's not advisory.
It cannot throw out the entire plan?
It would not. I mean, before they come in, I've just told you.
But it can prejudice his work.
How do you
You can't say that it will not throw out the entire plan when they are supposed to do an independent work.
Well, I don't want to go into conjecturing. I mean,
no, but I'm saying that it's a possibility.
That the Commission of Inquiry will throw
We'll say that, yes, we can't create a region here because it's not feasible, it's not
possible.
reasonable.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah, very possible.
And that will make that particular campaign promise.
All of that is out of whatever engagements that are done on the ground. Martin sitting here could petition and say, I want a region in this corner and the boundaries must pass here. What I say is not cast in iron.
Okay.
It's not cast in stone. The Commission of Inquiry could say, no, it has to be on the right or not at all.
Okay.
But those are the things that you expect to know. And so, I mean, at the Council of State, it's with them now. Nobody knows what advice is going to come from them. They may even say, no, don't proceed to create here or create more than what has been asked for. Those are not things that you can tell now.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, do you expect some disputes arising out of this request to create boundaries?
Well, if there is anything that I believe the two major political parties, for instance, now in Parliament or in this country, have agreed on, then it is this exercise that we are about to do.
The disputes are not really
political
party oriented. I'm talking about people in constituencies in the various areas saying that what you're doing is going to disadvantage us.
Not at all. In fact, we just finished one round of
you don't expect the Akuse issue to spring up anywhere else?
It does not. That doesn't come in our domain. That is more of a local government issue.
Yes, but I'm saying that can there be a regional version of the Akuse issue?
It depends on even where the boundary is going to lie in the first place. Is anybody creating a region, Greater Accra or Eastern region? No. So that may not even come up. Because like I told you, I haven't seen any petition that says create a region, Greater Accra
so beyond Greater Accra and Eastern region,
but there could be, I mean, in fairness to you, there could be that a semblance of that situation somewhere else. But all of it depends on where these people advise. And these are eminent people, various backgrounds, you know, to deal with it. People who've got background with survey, mapping, all kinds of independent individuals.
Okay.
And so they should bring their expertise to bear on this work that they are going to do.
So if next year ends and this project is not done, what happens?
I can bet you before next year ends, with God on our side, and with the enthusiasm of the people who are requesting for these regions, it's a major priority for some people in this country. It's a second independence for them. And they are waiting with so much enthusiasm to have it. I don't think, who knows, it may even take as long before than end of next year.
Have you seen any petition from the Volta region that says that we don't want OT region created?
No, nowhere yet. Nowhere yet. All the petitions.
The people have issued petitions and sent it to even the media. You've not received one?
I haven't received.
Interesting.
No, I haven't. The petitions that we have received are 4.
Are you selective in the petitions you want?
Not. What makes you think that anybody saying something in the media officially would have brought it to us?
Because the indications are pretty much clear.
Yeah, but I'm telling you what's on our table. We don't have any such petition as you're saying.
Really?
Yes, I don't know which media you listen to anyway. But maybe I must start listening to where you listen to and then know.
It's interesting to know that, but let me get this point clarified. How much would it cost us to create a single region?
I can't tell immediately.
Why?
There are a lot of processes that goes into that.
Yes, but you need to budget for this process. At least we know that in the medium term. No, in the medium term, government has projected how much it's going to spend in the next 3 years. What is the ministry's projection?
We can only make, if you like, logical deductions.
Which is the projections you're supposed to do anyway.
But, I mean, I've just told you, you are aware what budgetary allocation has been made to this ministry. You just told me here.
Yes.
And I've just told you what I have cited, which I think should be the correct figure, of about 250,000 per quarter. if you want me to take a pen and paper and break it down, how much visits are you doing? What goes here, what comes where? Therefore, if you're creating 4, make the deductions. How much is supposed to be the cost for one region? That I can do for you. But I cannot put pen to paper now and do all those deductions for you that even a
Beyond, I get your point. So that means you don't have a rough idea in mind how much you're going to spend on creating a single region. Because some people, even at the manifesto level, would have been able to conceive that this is a project, yes, but how much would it cost?
You're forcing a figure out of me, but I'm sorry, I can help you.
Okay, I get your point on this particular one, but at least you should be able to help me with understanding this part too. Since it's unclear how much you're going to spend on that, would they ever get to a point where we say that there wouldn't be enough funds to proceed with this project?
I don't think there would be. I don't think there would be. The
They don't
indications that I
control
have
the
so
finances,
far,
really?
No, I don't. Not even that. With the indication that I've seen, I think that there is a good pledge to adequately resource us to do the work. When I say us, I mean all the ministries.
Would you need a plebiscite or a referendum to deal with this matter when it comes to the voting?
Yes, there is a referendum. Yes, there is.
Not a plebiscite.
I think there has to be, because if you look at, I mean, virtually the same. Plebiscite, referendum, virtually the same.
There's a slight difference, but the point I'm also asking with this is when the people vote against it, which because we expect sort 50% of people registered there voting, and 80% out of the 50% saying yes. Is that also?
That's what the Constitution said, not less than 50%.
Yes.
Not 50%.
Yes,
It says
not less than 50% more.
So it could be more.
Yes.
But then out of
that 80%
should say yes.
say yes.
Yes.
And it
What it
conveys
means-
that when you receive 2 petitions, it means that the majority of people are for it.
Yeah.
So that at the end of the day, we don't come back putting so much money into this project and the people end up rejecting it.
But then if the people do not want it, so be it. I mean, at any point in time, in every democracy, the voice of the majority is what stays.
When the regional reorganization is done, what will happen to this ministry?
His Excellency will determine that. Yes.
Would you be reassigned?
I'm not the appointed authority.
So how long have you been appointed to do your work?
I'm not the appointed authority.
4 years, 2 years, 1 year?
We are a ministry with a mandate to
What have you been told about the lifespan of your ministry? That's what I want to know.
I haven't been told anything.
At least you should know that these are the other things we'll be doing after, what they call it, reorganizing the ministry.
Well, His Excellency the President has called my minister and called me to come and assist, both him and the minister,
in creating regions.
To execute this agenda. Rest in his bosom, whatever plans that he has. I don't have any indication yet, as you want, but what I do know is that we are supposed to work, and that's what we are committed to doing now.
We can leave it off here.
Very well, my pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us on this particular one. I appreciate your time. So, folks, that's where we tie the 9 ribbons on today's edition of UPfront.